Authorities in Dnipro warn there may be no more survivors as the death toll from Russian strikes on an apartment building rises to 30.
Nepalese are observing a day of mourning after a plane carrying 72 people crashed and caught fire, killing most on board.
It was a collective delusion. 1 week after the attempted insurrection in Brazil, people expressed their astonishment at what happened.
The death toll from a Russian missile strike on an apartment building in Ukraine's southeastern city of Dnipro rose to 30 on Sunday as rescue workers scrambled to reach those buried in the rubble. The city's mayor has warned there may be no more survivors among the 44 people reported missing. Exactly 1 day has passed and my mother has not been found yet, explained this man. 5 floors collapsed from above. It's very sad. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky reported that at least 73 people were wounded and 39 people had been rescued as of Sunday afternoon. In his nightly address, he condemned the complicity of Russian citizens. Your cowardly silence, your attempt to wait out what's happening, will only end with the fact that one day these same terrorists will come for you, he said. Evil is very sensitive to cowardice. Evil will always remember those who fear it or try to bargain with it. And when it comes for you, there will be no one to protect you. Kiev, Kharkiv and Odessa were also hit on Saturday in attacks which Moscow said were targeted at Ukraine's military and energy infrastructure. The Director General of the International Atomic Energy Agency, Rafael Grossi, is expected to travel to Ukraine this week to establish a continuous presence of safety experts at all the country's nuclear power facilities in a bid to protect a nuclear accident in a war that shows no sign of easing up.
This is the moment a plane crashed in Nepal on Sunday morning. Just seconds later, it rolled sharply as it approached the airport in the tourist town of Pokhara and then caught fire. A search and rescue operation involving hundreds of soldiers was suspended overnight but has resumed this morning. 72 people were on board the flight from Kathmandu. Most of them have died, but there are unconfirmed reports of few survivors in a critical condition. Some bodies, burned beyond recognition, were carried by firefighters to hospitals, where grief-stricken relatives had gathered. The Prime Minister has declared a national day of mourning and has launched an investigation panel.
The incident was tragic. The full force of the army and police have been deployed for rescue.
It is unclear what caused the crash, but Nepal has a tragic history of fatal airline accidents. The European Union has banned all Nepali carriers from its airspace over safety concerns.
Austrian actor Florian Teichmeister has been charged with possession of child pornography. In a statement, the team behind the film Corsage, dedicated to the Empress of Sisi, said they were shocked by the revelations concerning the man who plays the Emperor Franz Joseph. Competing to represent Austria at the Oscars in the Best Foreign Film category, Corsage will be deprogrammed by Cineplex, which manages 400 cinemas in 12 countries. Austria's state broadcaster TV ORF, which co-financed the feature film, also announced its withdrawal of all programs in which the actor appears. According to his lawyer, he intends to plead guilty.
Florian Teichmeister will plead guilty in the criminal proceedings. He confessed everything in the preliminary proceedings. He has always cooperated fully with the authorities, and he has been undergoing psychological treatment for 2 years, which has allowed him to work on his mental problems that led him to own the files in question. He therefore takes full responsibility for his actions, but stresses that this is a purely numerical offense and that he has not harmed anyone.
The producers of the film Corsage claims that the shooting took place before the first rumours appeared in autumn 2021. Teichmeister is due to appear in court on February 8th. and he faces up to 2 years in prison.
Belgian socialist MEP Mark Tarabella, a suspect in the European Parliament's Qatargate corruption scandal, failed to declare a working trip he made to Qatar in 2020, his lawyers said on Sunday. Tarabella has not been charged in connection with the inquiry, but he is close to Pier Antonio Panzeri, an Italian former MEP from whose house €600,000 in cash was seized as part of the inquiry. President Roberta Metsola is due to unveil proposals to crack down on corruption within the parliament later today. Belgian police conducted a string of raids in December on the addresses of MEPs, former MEPs and lobbyists. 4 suspects were arrested, including one of the Assembly's vice presidents, Greek MEP Eva Kaili. Police recovered a total of €1.5 million in cash.
It's been 1 week since protesters clashed with police and stormed Brazil's government buildings in the capital, Brasilia. A day set to remain engraved in the country's collective memory.
I followed events that day and then I stopped watching. It was revolting, outrageous. I felt sick that night, to be honest, and decided to stop watching the news.
I thought it was absurd, a lack of respect. It was a lack of everything, of democracy. I had never seen such a thing.
My reaction was astonishment, some shock. For me, it was a collective delusion because people were led to do something absurd, thinking they were acting the right way, fighting for an ideal. It was a crime and it must be punished. Once investigated, who allowed it, who financed it, and find the real culprits.
Several investigations are ongoing into who was behind the protests, which on January 8 called for President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva to be ousted and for the army to take over. To many here, the message couldn't be more clear.
It was a coup attempt, actually. We don't know exactly who was behind it, that is under investigation, or what the plan was, but it was a coup attempt.
But Leo Puglia believes last week's events may have helped Lula's government.
Lula is now stronger, seen as a leader of the movement in defense of democracy, in a movement of grave historic threat. But on the other hand, it was a very serious event that shows the resilience of the radical fringes of Bolsonarism, how far they can go. There is a significant part of the population that is disconnected from reality and is radicalized.
Lula's comeback has been remarkable even to his supporters, but he is now faced with arguably his most difficult task yet. And many here fear what the anger among his predecessors' supporters may bring.
I think it's a growing thing. I don't think it's diminishing. I think it's growing. One single person managed to implant in the head of millions of people a discourse of hatred so big that discourse is becoming even more violent. And that's what we're watching now. Democracy that we speak so often about disappeared last Sunday.
Annalise Borges in Sao Paulo, Brazil, for Euronews.
The Archbishop of Lima celebrated Mass on Sunday in honor of those who've died during unrest following the ousting of Peruvian President Pedro Castillo. The death of a 16-year-old shot during a protest in Puno has brought the death toll to 49 in more than a month of unrest. The country's capital Lima and 3 other regions were under a state of emergency on Sunday, with deadly weeks-long protests against President Dina Boluarte showing no sign of abating. Peruvians are calling for fresh elections and Boluarte's resignation.
Barcelona clinched the Spanish Super Cup for the first time since the competition was revamped and moved to Saudi Arabia with a 3-1 victory over Real Madrid. 18-year-old Spanish sensation Gavi opened the scoring for Barcelona before goals from Robert Lewandowski and Pedri put breathing space between the two sides. Ballon d'Or winner Karim Benzema did pull one back for Madrid late on, but it was Xavi's men who got their hands on the trophy, their first since 2021.